And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? Look forward to a fantastic show today. We've got, there's just so much going on in the news. I don't know about you guys. I've been watching the Supreme Court confirmation hearings today. You know what? This is really a sharp, bright man that they're talking about. Forget about the politics of it and forget about the Republican, Democrat, and all the rest of the stuff that's going on. Politics shouldn't even enter into this thing, but apparently it does. In any event, I want you to know that at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 52 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 39 degrees. Supposedly we're expecting some rain. It hadn't started yet. We had a few little sprinkles, but nothing of any consequence. But it's supposed to get some rain the rest of all night tonight and tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with that. And you know what? In today's show, we're going to talk about what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses. We're going to be doing our continuing our news segment, the tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Of course, today's story, surprise attack. And you know what? It'll be a surprise story. Not exactly what you're thinking it's going to be. And then later on, we're going to have our own Sean LaFave. Sean will be here. He and I will be talking about health care on his Geared for Wellness Corner. And you know what? Who knows? We'll be talking about a lot of things, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, Sean's back in Wichita, Kansas, and we'll be giving you that weather information a little bit farther on too. But right now, let's talk about the news. There was an interview that was done, and McConnell rejects Trump's foreign aid cuts. Here's the deal. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell today shot down prospects for major parts of President Donald Trump's budget, rejecting proposed cuts to foreign aid and medical research. Every president sends up a budget, and with all due respect to the current president, I can't recall any time in which we have been short of dictated to by either a Republican or a Democratic president, McConnell said in an interview with the Associated Press. We'll put our own imprint on it, particularly with regard to overseas. Trump's budget, which would boost military spending while slashing funds for the environment, National Institutes of Health, public broadcasting, and development projects like the Appalachian Regional Commission, was widely planned by fellow Republicans last week. And McConnell once headed the Senate panel responsible for foreign aid and stressed the importance of U.S. spending overseas. He also was a major force behind last year's Cures Act, a law that boosts spending on medical research, and he opposes any proposed cuts. America, being a force, is a lot more than building up the Defense Department, McConnell said. Diplomacy is important, extremely important, and I don't think these reductions at the State Department are appropriate, because many times diplomacy is a lot more effective and certainly cheaper than military engagement. On another spending issue, McConnell said that the politics of the moment mean Republicans controlling Washington will not touch benefit programs like Medicare and Social Security, known as entitlements. You know what? The reason they're known as entitlements is you're entitled to it. You paid for it. It's yours. You know what? On another big issue, in the interview, McConnell warned fellow Republicans of political consequences if they oppose the GOP health care legislation coming up for a vote in the House this week. Supposed to be on Thursday, I believe. And I would hate to be a Republican whose vote prevented us from keeping the commitment we've made to the American people for almost 10 years now to repeal and replace former President Barack Obama's health care law. And Kentucky Republican told the Associated Press reporters and editors, well, you know what? I think the American people would be deeply disappointed that we were prevented from keeping our commitment by Republicans who, in the end, in effect, voted for the status quo. McConnell sounded confident that the bill will pass the House and come over to the Senate, where it is currently short of votes. He made clear the legislation will be changed in the Senate so it can pass, though he declined to predict what the final product will look like or guarantee ultimate success. You know what, in government, I think we've learned there's certainly no guarantees, and that is for sure. Well, no promises and no one above the law, Supreme Court pick says. You know what? Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch declared today he's made no promises to Donald Trump or anyone else about how he'll vote on abortion or other issues, and testified he'll have no trouble as a justice holding anyone accountable, including the president who picked him. During the long second day in his Senate confirmation hearings, Gorsuch made two notable statements in response to questions from members of the Judiciary Committee, and both related to Trump, who nominated him. Republican Lindsey Graham of South Carolina asked Gorsuch whether Trump had asked him to overturn Roe versus Wade, the case establishing a right to abortion, and what he would have done had Trump asked him to do so. And he says, and I quote, "Senator, I would have walked out the door." Gorsuch replied, "That's not what judges do." When Vermont Democratic Senator Patrick Leahy asked Gorsuch if the president is free to ignore laws on national security grounds, Gorsuch replied that nobody is above the law in this country, and that includes the President of the United States. Well, we'll see what happens. I very honestly, if you get past the politics of all this, I think Gorsuch is a shoo-in. He is exactly the kind of man that should be on the Supreme Court. He's well educated. He's very, very bright, and he's moderate. He's not right wing, left wing. He's a moderate. And you know what? I think he'll actually apply the law according to the Constitution. You know what? I just think he's a good guy. That doesn't mean that his predecessor that never even got a hearing wasn't a good guy. But you know what? Are you going to hold that against this guy? That's not the way to progress. And no new threat led to airline laptop limits, officials say. The United States and British officials said today the decision to bar laptops and tablets from the cabins of some international flights wasn't based on any specific threat, but on long-standing concerns about terrorists targeting jetliners. Unimpressed, some travelers and civil liberties groups denounced the ban, raising concerns that included lost work time on long flights and worries that checking laptops and baggage will take them more vulnerable to theft. Under the new bans, electronic devices larger than smartphones, such as laptops, tablets, and gaming devices, will have to be checked on some international flights. American officials announced the United States ban early today, and the British followed later in the day after discussions between the countries. The United States ban affects flights from Amman, Jordan, Kuwait City, Kuwait, Cairo, Istanbul, Jeddah, and Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Casablanca, Morocco, Doha, Qatar, and Dubai, and Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. About 50 flights a day, all on foreign carriers, will be affected. Senior Trump administration officials who briefed reporters about the ban said no U.S.-based airlines have nonstop flights from those cities in the United States. Well, that takes care of this block for this segment. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to do some questions and answers. A look at the electronics ban on some of these flights. We'll give you some more information about it. Don't go away. We got a lot of show left for you.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:12 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 52 degrees and it's raining. Well, it's going to be raining. We had a little bit of some sprinkles going on, not enough to even bother a bird or a construction guy out here in Southern California. But anyway, it's going to be raining later on this evening and into tomorrow. And no question about that. Our temperature is going to go down to 39 degrees. When we get a little more into the show, we'll give you some of the weather forecasts for around our syndicated network. But right now, let's get back into the news. You know, Trump tells the GOP, pass the health care bill or seal your fate. You know, time for talk running out. President Donald Trump today warned wavering House Republicans that their jobs were on the line in next year's elections if they failed to back a GOP bill that would overhaul Barack Obama's Affordable Care Act. The countdown quickened toward an expected vote on Thursday on legislation undoing much of the law that provided health coverage to some 20 million Americans. Trump huddled behind closed doors with rank-and-file Republicans just hours after the GOP leaders unveiled changes intended to pick up votes by doling out concessions to centrists and hardliners alike. You know what they call that? Pork barrel legislation. That's what they call it. And if we fail to get it done, fail to meet the promises made by all of us, including the president, then it could have a very detrimental effect on Republicans in 2018 who are running for re-election, said Representative Mike Conaway, a Republican from Texas. If it fails, then there will be a lot of people looking for work in 2018. Trump's message to Republicans, if you don't pass the bill, there could be political costs, said Representative Walter Jones, the Republican from North Carolina. The outlook for House passage remains dicey even with the revisions. The GOP bill would scale back the role of government in the private health insurance market and limit future federal financing for Medicaid. It would also repeal tax cuts on the wealthy and Democrats used to pay for Obama's coverage expansion, fines enforcing the Obama-era requirement that virtually all Americans have coverage would be eliminated. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates that 24 million fewer people will have health insurance in 2026 under the GOP bill. Trump warned House Republicans they'd seal their political doom if they waver, with the party potentially losing majority control of the House. Still, several conservatives were steadfast in their opposition, even after the session with Trump and the leadership's changes. You know what? We'll see what happens. You know, it looks like it's probably going to pass the House. It's going to have a lot of revisions in the Senate, but may very well pass there as well. Well, let's talk about Gorsuch. Students defend his questions about women at work. Yeah, you heard me. Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch said today that he taught his law school students about inappropriate questions from prospective employers, contradicting a student who accused him of showing a lack of respect for working women during a classroom discussion about family planning in the workplace. Gorsuch's views were echoed to the Associated Press by some of his other former law school students who contend the accuser misconstrued the lesson. Former student Jennifer R. Sisk said Gorsuch implied in a legal ethics class in April that he believes many female job applicants unfairly manipulate companies by hiding plans to begin families. She remembered him saying that many accept job offers but quickly leave with maternity benefits. Sisk, who has since graduated, provided her recollections of the class in a letter Friday to the Senate Judiciary Committee, which started confirmation hearings just yesterday. Gorsuch has been serving on the Denver-based 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals and also taught classes as an adjunct professor at the University of Colorado Law School in Boulder since the late 2000s. Senator Dick Durbin asked Gorsuch about Sisk's allegation on Tuesday, pressing whether the judge had asked his students if they knew about women taking maternity benefits and then leaving their company after a pregnancy. I want to get to the bottom of it, said the Illinois Democrat, noting Sisk complained to the school prior to Gorsuch's nomination. Federal law bans employers from making hiring decisions based on a woman's plans to start a family, said Sisk. But Sisk, who worked for the Obama administration's Interior Department and Democratic former Senator Mark Udall of Colorado, said Gorsuch emphasized that employers may legally ask the question and that they do so to protect their companies. Gorsuch said he just learned of Sisk's claims on Sunday night and explained that his classes delved in part into the realities of practicing law. He said he asked students if any already had endured this inappropriate question about your family planning by prospective employers, in part so they could be prepared with answers. I'm shocked it still happens every year that I get women, not men, raising their hand to that question, Gorsuch said. Well, we'll see what... I don't know what. I have no reason not to believe him, and I have no reason to believe that if only one student came forward, you know what? She probably misunderstood the whole thing and didn't get it and isn't going to make much of a good attorney anyway. Well, the Associated Press news break, 124 Illinois prison nurses get layoff notices. The 124 union nurses working in Illinois prisons have received layoff notices telling them their jobs are being privatized, according to a letter from Governor Bruce Rauner's office obtained by the Associated Press. The notice from the Republicans' administration to the Illinois Nurses Association said nurses at 12 prisons would be laid off June the 15th, 2 days after contract nurses are hired. Alice Johnson, the association's executive director, said Rauner is retaliating because the union rejected a tentative contract agreement last year. It's an attempt to bully and intimidate the nurses, and it's not going to work, Johnson said. Well, we'll see about that. Anyway, don't go away. We're going to take a break. When we come back, good news for you. The IRS loses. Don't go away. You don't want to miss it.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:23 p.m. Pacific time. Hey, it's 63 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're listening to our show in New York City, well, 59 degrees and it is clear. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, it's a little chillier. It's 43 degrees and it's partly cloudy. But you know what? I'm going to give you some good news. Yeah, the IRS loses. My favorite part of the show, I think. Well, maybe not. I love the whole show. It's my show, right? Yeah. Let's talk about the IRS loses. This first case, it's a split decision with the IRS. It's a husband is responsible for family businesses taxes, but the wife isn't. So here's the deal. Jack Bayoyan was owner and president of Far Hills Community Management Incorporated, a community associations management company, and his wife, Linda, was an employee. Now, when Far Hills failed to remit taxes withheld from employees' pay, the IRS held Jack and Linda personally liable for more than $200,000. He as CEO and she as the firm's accountant. Well, they went to court. This is what the judge said. Jack's defense that he didn't know of the non-payment of the tax was just not credible, and even if true, not effective, since it was his responsibility to know. But Linda credibly testified that she dealt primarily with clients and did not have control over the checkbook or deciding which creditors got paid. So she escapes that responsibility. Keep in mind, there's this premise. You have to have knowledge, you have to have access, and you need to have control. And if you don't have one of those things, you can't be held liable. How about this? The IRS loses. They cannot avoid answering questions. Boy, yeah, tell it to the world, huh? In this case, a company filed a refund suit against the IRS. During the suit, it filed questions for the IRS to answer. Now, the IRS answered them all by saying that its attorneys lacked sufficient knowledge about them to give an answer. Now, the company protested. They went to court. is what the judge said. The issue wasn't whether the IRS's attorneys knew the answers to the questions, but whether the IRS itself knew the answers. Not dodging the questions by saying the attorneys didn't know the answers violated court rules and was non-responsive. So the non-answer answers were struck. The company is allowed to ask a whole new set of questions in excess of what the court rules would normally allow, and the IRS is ordered to answer them. Are you smiling yet? Yeah. Well, here's another one for you. Here's one that the IRS concedes. Now, you know, they only concede when they're pretty sure that they can't prevail in court. And this is going on here. Airline ticket tax does not apply to a ticket provider's fee. Here's the thing. A business sells airline tickets to travelers. It buys them from the airlines in arm's length transactions, charges their cost to the travelers, and adds its own fee. Here's the issue. Who's responsible for the airline ticket tax, which is a percentage of the ticket price and does not apply to the business's fee? Well, the IRS's ruling, the business is independent, not an agent of the airline, and it does not provide transportation, but only facilitates the purchase of the taxable transportation. So the tax is owed by the traveler and is to be collected and remitted by the airline, not the agency, on the cost of the ticket alone, not on the agency fee. Now, that just makes sense, right? That's just the IRS trying to get something for nothing, as they always do. You've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS does stuff. That's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS. It is every bit like the Twilight Zone. Well, I tell you every day that these are not tax court cases, and so they don't have those kind of precedents. But, you know, knowledge is the most valuable commodity you're ever going to get. So knowing where the IRS was thinking or what they're thinking now or what they're going to think in the future, how they're doing things, is really going to be important to you. And that's where we're at with this segment we call Inside the IRS. You ever wonder how do IRS agents determine that you have not reported all of your income? Well, you know what? A common method that the IRS uses is simply add up all of your deposits in your bank and brokerage accounts during the year. The presumption is that all deposits represent income unless you can establish that the money came from a gift or a loan. A revenue agent can also review credit card and bank loan statements to determine if payments made during the year to reduce the balance were made from sources other than your bank accounts. Now, there's a trap here. The agent may want to visit your home to determine if there are new appliances, furniture, and to take a look at your wardrobe. Was unreported cash used to purchase these items? Your safest bet? The IRS must obtain a search warrant, which never happens in a civil case, so don't give a revenue agent permission to tour your home in any case. Just know that. And the minute they try, you get yourself an attorney, a good, competent tax attorney. That's what you want to do. Well, how about this? Tax-exempt organizations in politics. Boy, there's a lot of that going on, huh? You know what? To enjoy the benefit of being a tax-exempt organization, for example, a religious institution or a school, an organization is prohibited from participating in or intervening in any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for public office. The reality of it is tax-exempt organizations have been actively supporting or working against certain politicians. Now, the IRS has been under pressure from Congress to do something about this abuse. However, guidance recently issued in a revenue ruling explains that voter education is permitted as long as it's not biased. And so that's really what's going on there when we're talking about the IRS. They keep trying to get it their way. You just got to understand, this is not McDonald's. This is not Burger King. They can order it any way they want, but they're going to get it the way you give it to them. So keep in mind that don't let them take away your rights. Don't let them chip away at your rights, because if you do, one day you're going to turn around and you're going to find out, hey, you don't have any rights. And that's where you want to really, really be careful. Now, don't go away. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be with my good buddy Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner. I am not exactly sure what we're going to talk about, because we keep talking about what we're going to talk about and never do. But we'll see what's going on and what's on Sean's mind when we get back from these brief messages. So don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:34 p.m. Pacific time. Hey, it's 63 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, not so sunny. A little overcast. It's supposed to be raining here in any moment now, and then it'll be raining again tomorrow and the next day. But you know, this is what they call liquid sunshine in California, Southern California. My good buddy Sean LaFave can attest to that. It's on his way down to 55 degrees, and you know what? If you happen to be in Flagstaff, Arizona today, it's 64 degrees and clear. And you know what? If you happen to be in Wichita, Kansas, where my good buddy Sean's at, it's 62 degrees and it's overcast. Hey, let's welcome my good buddy Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. Hey, Sean, you're on the air, buddy.
Robert, what's happening today?
I don't know what's happening. You know what? We go from, you talking about the hearings? Are you talking about the weather?
Hearings? I don't know, just anything in general, but what hearings are you talking about?
Well, the only hearings we can be talking about would be the one from the FBI or the ones for the Supreme Court. Or
those. Yeah.
You know, and not that you'd give a damn, but you know, it's.
I just wish that the left would decide whether they love Comey or they hate him, because they're pretty bipolar in that one. I mean, they loved him when he was, spouting off that there was no problems. But geez, man, I wish they would just decide. Like, I don't care if they like him or hate him, but just make up your mind.
Well, you want to talk?
It's in gas prices. You're just all over the map. But anyway,
you want to talk about it you want to talk about politics for a little bit?
We can. I'm not really up on politics, but
you're up on.
I've got a politics thing up that I wanted to talk about, but it was about the Obamacare versus what the Republican side is offering. So we could talk about that. But I'm curious your take on some of this stuff. So yeah, let's talk about it. Absolutely.
Well, what?
I've been so busy, Robert. I worked all weekend. I am just now sitting here going, you know what? I feel like I'm almost caught up, after working all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So yeah, I haven't been watching politics. You got to fill me in.
Well, I got to tell you, I've never been more concerned for our country than I am today, especially after yesterday and Comey making not only Comey but Rogers. You got the head of the FBI and the head of the NSA both saying not only did Trump lie, but they are both have been investigating Trump and his organization since July about collusion with the Russians to interfere with our democratic process for the election, which is treason. Can you imagine where we're headed right now? And then we have Tillerson, the Secretary of State, who has decided he is not going to attend the NATO alliance meeting, but he's going to go visit Russia. I'm getting really concerned about some of the stuff that's going on in Washington D.C. in the administration. This is getting really scary and really dangerous. He's offending our allies, our strongest allies. He's doing things that are just absolutely unconscionable. And this is a guy that I voted for.
Yeah. I won't say he's doing them, but he's being investigated. They've been investigating him for long enough that if there was something substantial there, you think they would have to be able to sunk their teeth into it by now. But that's the FBI. They don't have to tell you if they're. That's
the surprise, because he did come out and he did say it. They've been investigating both departments since July, and typically an FBI investigation and NSA investigation takes somewhere between 18 and 24 months. So we haven't heard the end of this, but boy, I want to tell you, things are getting really, really scary and really, really hairy out there. There's just this makes Watergate look like ping pong, Yeah.
Well, a lot of things that have been done in the last year and a half or so made Watergate look like ping pong. So, I don't know. To me, it's just, I look at it right now until they come up with something definitive. It's just more politics as usual. And unfortunately, politics as usual today means, more backstabbing.
Well, yeah, but the problem here, Sean, is here you and I are citizens of the United States. We can't sit here with paper bags over our heads. You got to be looking at what's going on, being a little fearful. Let's just theorize. Let's just say that Trump and his organization is found guilty of an impeachable offense, or even treason, which would certainly be an impeachable offense, but if it's treason, that means not only does Trump go down, and not only does his staff go down, and his cabinet, but so does his vice president go down. You know what that leaves us with? That leaves us with Paul Ryan, for God's sakes. And that's I'd rather have a crook in the White House.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. I don't know. I just find it all hard to believe that this is going to play out in the way that.
Well, you know why you find it hard to believe? As an American, you don't want to believe that at this level of our government, and the people that you place the utmost confidence in could betray you, and that's what's so scary. It's not that I think he has. But boy, there's a lot of smoke flying right now. There's a lot of sparks going. I don't know about the fires. I listen to these political shows and news shows just literally all day long and trying to gather information, and not to mention the things that I subscribe to. And there isn't any good news out there unless it's biased news.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is there really isn't any good news, because the media doesn't want you to hear good news, because it doesn't sell, and it doesn't create division, and it doesn't promote their agenda. and I do believe that the influence coming from the left, it didn't end when Obama left the White House. Matter of fact, he was in Hawaii the day before. I can't think of his name there. The judge that put a halt to the immigration ban. They met the day before it happened. Like, what are the odds of you tell me that there wasn't some influence going on there? So.
The biggest
there's some influence in the FBI as well.
But what used to be the biggest opposition to the GOP is now the GOP itself. Trump's own party is obstructing him. When you get the leader of the Senate, McConnell, and the leader of the House, Paul Ryan, and all of these people are now in opposition to the things that Trump's saying, and they're distancing themselves from him. Man, you got to know we're in for a real battle. And when you hear about Tillerson saying we're not taking anything off the table, we might make a preemptive strike against North Korea, and we're saying that publicly, and North Korea is testing ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons. Man, if you tell me you're not nervous about that, then you've got ice running through your veins.
Well, I'm not really nervous about North Korea so much right now because they don't have I don't believe they have the capacity to reach out and hit us.
Yeah, we don't know. We didn't think they had the capacity to shoot missiles into the middle of the ocean with nuclear warheads, but they do.
Yeah, and they may take their aggression out on someone who is one of our allies. I would be more concerned with that than I would with them attacking. They're not, maybe they have the ability to reach our soil. I don't know.
But here's the thing: if they hit South Korea, or if they hit Japan, or if they hit Australia, we as the United States, as the chief member of NATO, have an obligation to go in and defend them as if they had hit us.
Yeah, and then we're instantly in war. That part I agree with. That's what I'm more concerned with, is them hitting someone else, not necessarily us, because that will launch us into a full-blown, horrible war. And if they use nukes first, I can't imagine that someone wouldn't follow up with a nuclear assault on North Korea, and that's a scary thought. And that's the thing, at least back in the Cold War days, we had them, Russia or Soviet Union had them, and neither of us were really crazy enough to be the first person to launch. But now you've got these, you got crazy people like North Korea or the Middle East. If some of these people ever get, they would be stupid enough to actually think that they could launch an assault and somehow be successful. It is definitely an interesting time, and
but how about
that way? But I'm not nervous about them attacking us, though.
Yeah, but how about they just put one of their nuclear bombs on some ally ship, and it lands in Los Angeles Harbor, and they blow it there. Yeah. They don't have to send it. They don't have to send it with a missile.
Yeah, that's true, and that's the more plausible, is that they put it on a ship that brings it over, and it would be more of a, the destruction would still be immense. It would be probably more considered a dirty bomb at that point, but it would do a lot of damage. The thing with nuclear bombs is they need to be detonated above ground.
Well, yeah, but they don't have to.
It's still going to create a lot of damage. You do it in Los Angeles, right off the ocean, or right off the coast. It's still going to create an immense amount of damage, but it's not going to be as devastating as if they were able to send in something like we have, like these ICBMs that we have they're beyond comprehension. I mean, they make Fukushima and Nagasaki look like child's play. They're so devastating. They're in their power.
Well, that's the problem. You think that Iran wouldn't make a deal with North Korea? You think that ISIS wouldn't make a deal with North Korea? You think that China wouldn't make a deal with North Korea?
Yeah, China makes me nervous more than North Korea does, because China definitely needs to come in and tell North Korea to settle down and chill for a little bit, and then they're not doing that. So it's definitely an interesting time, and like I said, unfortunately, I've been working so much and that's probably a good thing for me, that I haven't spent a lot of time. I've gotten news clips here and there and little snippets, but I don't know. I still go back to the days when we were in the Cold War and we did a lot of yelling at each other, and I'm hoping that that's all this amounts to, is a lot of yelling. But
think about this, Sean. The United States has always been the guy on the white horse and the white hat and the good guy, right? But yet we're the only country on earth in history that has set off 2 nuclear bombs against an enemy.
One of them too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we set off too because the first one didn't get their attention. You think after one they'd go, "Okay, yeah, we quit." Like, no, we set off a nuclear bomb, and you still want to fight? Okay, let me show you that the first one wasn't an accident.
Yeah,
And but the nice thing is we did, and we won. And then we went, okay, now we're going to help you rebuild your country. And they're it's Nagasaki and Fukushima, not Fukushima, but Hiroshima. Yeah, look better now than the vast majority of major cities in this world. Because we went in and we said, okay, now that we're done destroying you and driving you into the dirt, let's be friends now. Okay, we'll help you rebuild. Let's be friends. It's not no more of this attacking harbor kind of things going on, and we've been friends ever since. And so I think we did prove that our intentions were pure. We didn't go in and take over their country and make it a part of the United States.
Yeah, but now under Trump and Tillerson, we're telling the Japanese, who we have denied the right to have their own army, we're saying we're not going to defend you anymore unless you pay us for it. You're going to have to defend yourself. What do you think that does?
Yeah, well, that's definitely a tough one, and I get it, the whole, they do need to pay their part, just because they're not allowed to have their own. They're allowed to have defensive weapons, but they're not allowed to have offensive weapons.
Well, I agree with you that they should pay their own part, but under the treaty that was signed after World War II, they are doing everything that they agreed to in the treaty and everything that we demanded of them, and we are doing everything that we said we would do if they would do these things, right? So who? I mean, come on. It's got to go both ways. I think they do have to pay their fair share. Just like NATO, every member of NATO is supposed to pay 2% of their GDP, and they don't. Even Germany, a very wealthy country, pays 1.35% of their GDP. We're paying 3.6%. We are the largest payer toward NATO, and you know what? That's just unfair.
It is unfair, and Trump makes a good point on that. Is look, let's just get it to where you're at least paying what you're supposed to be paying, and that's fine. Are we gonna stand back and watch Japan get destroyed if they get attacked by North Korea? Of course not. That's not going to happen. That's not in our best interest. Trump knows that. Everybody knows that. There's no way that our country, but we do want to get to the point where, look, everybody pay their share. That's why should we as Americans have to sustain the financial burden of keeping everybody in the world safe, from all the crazies out there, and so yeah, it needs to get to that point, but I also firmly believe too that there's no way that even someone like Trump is ever going to step back and go, well, you know what, you didn't pay your part, sorry, we're going to let you get attacked and destroyed. It's just not going to happen because it's not in our interest. It would be very self-defeating for us to let another country like Japan get beaten up by someone like North Korea or whatever.
Yeah, but you're making that judgment based on the actions of prior administrations. We have an administration now that we don't know whether it's yin or yang. We don't know if it's the truth or a lie. We don't. I mean, I'm beginning to get very, very critical of everything that I'm hearing in Washington D.C. because I don't believe the Democrats, I don't believe the Republicans, and I sure as hell don't believe the administration.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just hard to know who to believe anymore. And
how many times can they lie to your face and have it proven, and you believe them? When is Trump going to say, "Hey, we're going to strike against North Korea because we have word that they are going to launch an attack against us," and we're supposed to believe him, right?
Well, we should. Yeah, we're supposed to believe him, of course, but
how can you believe him when every other word is a lie?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. Maybe that's why I don't pay as much attention to it anymore. I don't know that I would say every other word coming from him is a lie. But whose sources are telling you that he's lying and he's not lying? If we listen to the media, you can't trust them. I
don't know. The head of the FBI just called him a liar. The head of the NSA just called him a liar. Our allies, the heads of our allies, both in France and Germany, have called him a liar.
Are you talking about that he's lying about being tapped?
Yeah. But it doesn't make any difference what you lie about. If you're the president of the United States and you're responsible for my security and you are the focal head of my country, you're not supposed to be lying.
So did they come out and actually say that he was lying, or
Yes.
did they just simply say that we don't have any evidence?
They came right out. They came right out and said it was untrue. That's just another word. It's just sort of like fake news. It's a lie, right?
Sure.
And so, I mean, I got to tell you, I want this guy to survive. I want him to be successful, but I want him to stop acting like a child in grade school. I want him to start acting like the most powerful man in the world, and with some intelligence.
I can agree with you on that one, for sure.
Okay, so that's enough about politics. What did you want to talk about? You got 5 minutes before we go to a commercial break.
At this point, I just want to talk about bunny rabbits and
well, Easter's coming up. You are going to make if we're going to be searching for Easter eggs, right?
we are. I am not personally going to be searching for Easter eggs, but
can you imagine Donald Trump? Can you imagine Donald Trump and Melania Trump having an Easter egg race?
No.
Are they not? I mean, they do that every year at the White House.
Well, I'm sure they're going to have it. I mean, I can't picture them participating in it. I can picture them hosting one, but I can't picture them participating in it.
I'm waiting for Thanksgiving when it's time to pardon the turkey, and Trump cuts that guy's head off.
Trump's like, no,
that's a fat turkey. That's a good looking turkey. We're going to eat that one.
Put him in my chambers, and I'm going to go pardon the skinny one that nobody wants. So actually, speaking of Trump, I was looking at, and this is the thing, of course, that really is of concern to me. I always come back to healthcare, and
sure.
that's the one part that of course affects my life the most. All this other stuff is going to affect my life, and there's very little I can do about it. I can at least adjust my life accordingly to how the healthcare plans are being unfolded. But I was looking at the difference between, and I pray, please don't, and I hope that people don't start calling this Trump care. I know that there are people who are, but I hope that it doesn't stick like Obamacare does.
Well, they're actually calling it the American Care Act. I don't know why they decided to keep the same initials.
Yeah, I know. The Affordable Care Act, the American Care Act, yeah. Give it a different initial, but I look at some of the things he's doing, and there's so much controversy out there that I'm not quite sure. Like, people are going, well, it's the exact same thing, but just as bad, or some people are saying it's worse, and I'm going, I'm not seeing that. Maybe I'm not looking at the right things, but everything I'm reading, and this is one part that I think I love the most, is the individual mandate is going to be eliminated. That's the reason 20 million people are going to 20 million people are not going to lose their insurance. 20 million people without the mandate and without being penalized are going to opt out of insurance. Right.
It's not that they're going to lose it. They're going to make the choice and not get it.
Right, and that's the only way this can work is if everybody is involved.
That's right.
And so it's a group insurance policy, and if the young healthy people aren't part of it, it's not going to work.
That's right.
That's the whole pre-existing condition thing. You can't still cover pre-existing conditions if all of the young healthy people aren't also paying the premiums as well, and that's a tough one for me. I look at it and I go, gosh, maybe with pre-existing conditions, obviously, in Obamacare, they weren't allowed to increase your premiums they weren't allowed to deny you coverage because of pre-existing conditions. In the new American Care Act, they are still required to cover you, but it may be more expensive. There may be a cap on how much they can charge, but they can raise it. And what you got to go. It's an insurance company. They're there to make a living. They're there to make a profit. And if I walk in and I've got the condition that I'm going to still live with for the next 3 or 4 years, that's going to cost them, $100,000 a year to take care of me. Well, there's no way they can ever recover that cost from me being in their policy. And so, it's a tough one. As a healthcare person, I go, gosh, there's got to be a solution. As an economist, I go, yeah, there's no way you can do this. It's impossible to force the insurance companies to pay for someone of the pre-existing condition. Of course, one of the things that Trump is going to try to do is make it to where we can get drugs from overseas. Well, that will help because a lot of the cost that these insurance companies are paying is the exorbitant price of these pharmaceutical drugs, these prescription medications. So I hope that he makes that happen.
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of things that have to happen, and you can't just pick and choose the things that are going to happen. You have to have a cohesive plan. Now, what he's got, I can't say that I'm crazy about Paul Ryan's plan, and I can't tell you that I'm crazy about Rand Paul's plan. Somewhere in the middle there is a good plan. I don't like the Affordable Care Act at all, and I mean at all, because it's not doing anything it's supposed to be doing. But one of the things that we need to do is if you're going to lower the cost of health care, insurance has never been the problem. You know that, right? Getting insurance isn't the problem. Getting medical care is the problem. You can have insurance, but you can't afford the copays, right? So it's $17,000 copay before your insurance kicks in. Who the heck's got that?
Right, exactly.
Most people,
and that's it's the exorbitant cost of healthcare itself.
Yeah.
It's the things like you go into the hospital and you need a Kleenex, and they give you 8 Kleenex, and then they charge you $15 for a box of Kleenex.
Yeah, but the reason for that the reason for that are these people that refuse to get insurance to go into the emergency room because there is a law that they have to be treated and they don't pay. And that's why you pay $15 for a Kleenex. What has to happen, they have to eliminate tort law so that they put reasonable ceilings on malpractice findings. They have to lower the cost of malpractice insurance for physicians, and they have to stop dictating to physicians what they can and can't do. They have to let these doctors do that, and they have to be reasonable. I believe in the thing that you've been telling me all along. We need preventative care, not catch-up care. We don't want to be treating symptoms. We want to be treating causes.
Right, and that was actually the very next thing I was going to say is, we focus so much on the care after the person is sick. What we need is spend some money on preventive care. On everything from just simple nutrition, is even subsidizing groceries, subsidizing vegetables if you have to, whatever the case might be. I love the whole, that people talk about, like we tax cigarettes, we tax alcohol, why not tax sugar and tax all these things that we know are making us sick, that are killing us as a nation? The vast majority of
let them die. I believe in euthanasia. We'll talk about that when we come back from this commercial message with Sean LaFave and his Geared for Wellness Corner. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And my feeling is, hey, just kill them. Then you don't have to cure them. Just put a shot in their vein. You knock them off. You give them an $800 cremation, and you're all done. You could bring medical costs down to almost nothing. What do you think, Sean?
I think there's zero medical costs in dead people. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
You know, there's a solution to everything. I mean, I don't understand why they spend $50,000 to execute prisoners when all you got to do is hang them, for Pete's sake. You just need a little piece of rope.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. We could start there. Just start with the criminals and start with the hardcore ones and kind of work our way down until people start getting the message. Apparently, not everybody agrees with me on that one, though. But you know what I would like to see, and I think this is something that I guess our government could possibly control, because we get all weirded out about freedom of speech, and first of all, freedom of healthcare doesn't exist. There's nothing in our Constitution, nothing in our laws that entitles you or me or anyone else to health care at all, period. So, that's just not an inalienable right, as they say it in this country. And I don't think that we have the rights to health care. I think that it's something that's, we have a responsibility to take care of ourselves. And when things go wrong, then, the healthcare system is there if we need it, but it's not a right that we have. But what I'd really like to see is, our government, really, I like smaller government, and I think that the role of the government is to protect us. And unfortunately, they need to protect us from that quote-unquote freedom of speech that we have. People will cry over this one, but I think that the freedom of speech has limits, just like anything else. I can't walk around downtown, even in Phoenix, Arizona, where you're allowed to carry a gun. I can't walk around swinging a gun around, pointing it at people. There are limitations to any freedom, and you can't scream fire in a crowded movie theater. And in the same way that a lot of these commercials that we see on TV, I think that they're so misleading and they're so false that I would love to see some regulation in truth in advertising. I can remember.
Wait a minute. I got you.
I know.
I got you. Because that's why you wanted to go to the store the other day to buy some Tampax, because you could go bicycling, you could go swimming, you could go running, do all those things with that stuff.
I know, right? I saw that commercial, and I'm like, if I just have some Tampax, I would be happy, just like that woman in the commercial.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it didn't work out as well as I thought it would.
Yeah. Well, in your case, it could be a royal pain in the ass.
Exactly. And the chafing was terrible. But I saw this commercial years ago, and I remember sitting there watching this and thinking, does nobody else see in this commercial what I see in this commercial? And this was probably somewhere around 15 to 20 years ago. And, the basic premise was, when is your heartburn the worst? And, the one guy says, well, it's after my third cup of coffee. And the other person says, well, it's after I eat a large, pepperoni pizza or a large pizza with everything, or whatever the case might be. And I'm thinking, well, maybe if you just would stop at 2 cups of coffee, or don't eat the large pizza, maybe eat a small one and a side salad. I would love to see that kind of advertising, but instead they say, well, you know what? If you have 3 cups of coffee, then just have a Rolaids or whatever it was. I think it was Rolaids. Or if you want to eat to excess to where you're giving yourself heartburn, well, just take something for that, and you'll be absolutely fine. And what we're doing is we're basically giving people permission through,
it's what you always say, Sean. They're treating the symptoms.
Yeah, they're treating the symptom. And as long as we can treat the symptoms and we can feel good, and that's really what people want, is they want to feel good. And if they're told that you can feel good because there's all these medications involved, well, then they're not going to stop doing the things that are driving their health into the ground. And yeah, you might be able to stop the heartburn, but you're not going to be able to stop the diabetes. You might be able to treat the diabetes, but what you're not going to be able to prevent is the Alzheimer's that comes because the diabetes is so rampant that it's affecting the brain now. You know what I'm saying? And it's just this trickle effect that's not even a trickle effect. It's a compounding effect that our poor lifestyle choices lead from one condition to another to another to another, to the point where, all the drugs in the world aren't going to help you. You're finally going to reach a point where there's just no returning. And so, I'd love to see something like that when it comes to healthcare. Why not force these advertisers to be a little bit more honest in the way that they promote these things?
Whatever happened? Do you remember when they banned that? I mean, there was a time when attorneys could not advertise. There was a time when the prescription medications could not be advertised. Medical procedures could not be advertised. There was a time. Yeah. There was a time when cigarettes could be advertised. Now they can't. It's illegal. I mean, why are they allowing this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. And that's what I would love to see is, like I said, the government, in my opinion, their number one role and responsibility is to protect the American people from whatever it might be. And they did it with the cigarette companies. They said, okay, you can't advertise anymore. First they took away advertising towards kids, and then they just said, no more advertising, period. No more commercials on TV for cigarettes, which I think is great, because cigarettes serve no positive function other than they make you feel.
Do you remember, Sean, when you could be walking down the street, if you were in a touristy kind of an area, if you were down by the beach where you live, or maybe in some tourist city or something, you'd be walking down and there'd be people on the street corners handing out free packages of cigarettes.
Well, I don't remember it, but
I the manufacturers, yeah. I mean, I'd be walking down the street and they'd be handing out free packs of cigarettes. Come on.
Well, that's how Wrigley started the chewing gum phase. It was a little over, I think, just over 100 years ago. It was the early 1900s.
Is it?
And no one had heard of chewing gum, and he paid these women to stand out on the busy intersections of these major cities, just handing out this gum. Well, what's this? They say it's chewing gum. You just chew on it.
Yeah, and he had the American Dental Association supporting him in that.
Of course, yeah. Well, the American Medical Association used to support smoking. They used to talk about smoking as a aid to digestion and all kinds of other things. 4 out of 5 doctors smoke Camel cigarettes.
Yeah. Walk a mile for a Camel.
Exactly, I had to walk a mile for a Camel. Yeah, all these things, and we haven't really changed. We've just changed how we've advertised, or maybe some of the products that we've advertised. But I can remember commercials coming out. That was a few years ago. They started these commercials for high fructose corn syrup. It's natural. It's no different than sugar, and it was just funny. I remember like the gal would hand the guy something that was made with high fructose corn syrup. He goes, "Don't you love me?" She goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "That's made with high fructose corn syrup." And then she would school him on how high fructose corn syrup is really no different than sugar, and on and on and on. He'd go, "Oh, that's wonderful, honey," and then he would be happy to eat whatever it was that she gave him. And the fact is, even if high fructose corn syrup is exactly the same as sugar, which it's not, but it's not actually. It's worse. It's not a whole lot worse. Not significantly. It's not like you're jumping from high fructose corn syrup to arsenic, but it's still got its problems. But the fact is, we overconsume sugar so much in our country, and all the foods are so highly processed that I talk to people still to this day who don't understand why French fries from McDonald's are bad for them. And, well, they're just potatoes and vegetable oil, and vegetable oil is good for you, and potatoes are just a vegetable. And I'm going, nope. And it goes way beyond that, and the French fries from McDonald's have, I think it's 17 different, either 17 or 19 or something like that, different ingredients in them. It's not even a real French fry. And so it's just interesting how people don't understand, that the foods that they eat, the effect that it has on their body. And I would love to see something like that. All this stuff that we're talking about on, the back end healthcare, that's all great and good, but we need to fix it. Like you said, it's not the insurance of the problem. It's the exorbitant cost of healthcare.
Yeah.
We pay, I think it's 3 or 4 times more than the country that's second, to us.
Well, the people that are being forced under a mandate to have health insurance can't afford to go get health treatments because the insurance is denuded them from all of their money. They can't pay the co-pays to get treatments.
Yeah. Exactly. I actually opted out. I'm like, I'll pay the fine because I'm not going to do it. Well, that's one of the things that I'm excited about because that's what I used to do in the past. And then I've gone for several years now without any insurance at all. One of the things that's being proposed by Trump and the Republicans in general is they want to increase and give more tax advantages for people with healthcare savings account, which I think healthcare savings accounts are fantastic.
Oh, for those people that don't realize it, not only are HSAs fantastic, and they're talking about putting no ceiling on them so that you can put as much in there as you want. And the truth is, right. But they've got to make sure that that they have a rollover provision in them. But then you can pay if you have insurance, you can pay your premiums with it. But what you can do, because it's all in pre-tax dollars, is that unlike what goes on in your medical in medical right now, if you're going to get a medical deduction, one, you have to itemize, and two, you have to spend more than 10% of your adjusted gross income before you get even $1 of deduction. Well, by using pre-tax dollars in an HSA, not only are you spending it with untaxed dollars to get your prescriptions and to get your health care and to pay for doctors, but you can also buy Band-Aids and alcohol, like rubbing alcohol. You can buy syringes. You can buy arm braces.
You can buy nutritional supplements.
You can buy supplements, and it's all with pre-tax dollars. I mean, now that starts to make some sense.
Yeah, and not only that, the Trump even wants to make it to where people who pay for health care, even if you pay for it out of pocket, and like you said, right now you have to pay for more than 10% of your household adjusted gross income. Yeah. He wants to make it to where all of your medical expenses are tax deductible. That's fantastic.
But it's only good if you can get that on page 1 of your 1040, because if you have to itemize it to get the deduction, it's no good for you at all. Because most people, only about 23% of the entire nation actually itemizes their tax deductions. So the rest of them, they don't get the charitable deductions, they don't get the medical deductions, they don't get the tax deductions and all those things unless you itemize. And only about 23% of the nation actually itemizes their taxes.
Yeah, sure. Well, I don't know what the percentage of people who actually making
it deductible from $1 only works if they put it into an HSA with pre-tax dollars. Then you're getting a deduction from $1.
And that's the thing I love about HSAs is if as long as you spend it on healthcare, any kind of healthcare, it's 100% tax free. And like I said, it doesn't matter if it's medical expenses. You can go get a massage. You can, like you said, you can buy Band-Aids and rubbing alcohol and whatever you need for your lungs to dry. It's
aspirin.
It's aspirin. Yeah. Everything that goes towards your health can be completely written off of the HSA. And the thing you mentioned too, for those who are really going, okay, what is this thing all about? Is, you talked about the rollover where a lot of people have a flex spending account. The problem is you have to spend that flex spending account before the end of the year. Of course, you know that. Yeah. Or you lose it. Where with a healthcare savings account, the vast majority of them have a rollover option. If I put $5,000 in it this year and I only spend $2,000, about $3,000 rolls over into next year, and that's the whole point of the savings account part of healthcare savings account. Is it becomes a retirement account. The problem is in the past they put this limitation. They not only put a dollar limitation on it, but they've also said if you don't use that in the year, you lose it. And if you lose it, that's worse than paying taxes in some cases. You've got to be really frugal about how you estimate what your medical expenses are going to be. Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. As long as it's got the rollover option, then you're fine. And then, of course, 20 years down the road, if you if you accumulated a large sum, then of course once you start taking out for personal expenses, then as opposed to healthcare, well, then you're going to start paying taxes according to whatever tax bracket you're
Sure.
in. But yeah, I love the HSAs, the healthcare savings account. I think they're awesome. That's another thing Trump wants to do too, is he wants to take down the barriers between the different states. If I want, if I'm an insurance company in Nebraska,
Sean, that's a businessman. That's a businessman talking common sense. You know what? If you want to create lower cost healthcare, then create competition. If you're in a state that only gives you one choice, there's no competition. That's a monopoly. That's what they call a monopoly. There's no competition. You're gonna pay through the nose. But if you're in a state and you've got a dozen different choices, those guys are going to compete for your business and keep their prices down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you're right. That's him speaking like a businessman and not like a politician.
Yeah,
and which in a lot of cases in this country, that's what we need right now. Is we need some more business common sense instead of politician sense, which usually means someone's wallet is getting padded out of it.
Did you say politicians making sense?
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know how those
aren't those two terms diametrically opposed.
Yeah, I don't know how they made it in the same sentence. To be honest with you. Sorry, I lost my mind there for a second.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see it. And of course, all the mudslinging going back and forth. It's hard to really get a grip on what's going to happen and what direction it's going because it doesn't matter. The people who love Obamacare, which I just can't for the life of me understand why anybody would support, and I'll call it what it is, the Affordable Care Act, not Obamacare. I just don't understand unless they have their own financial interest. Of course, the politicians who are supporting it are not subject to it. They have their own form of health care. They don't have to actually.
Oh yeah, and who pays for that, pal?
And of course, you and I do. Yeah, we do. Yeah. So of course they don't really care because they're somehow they're gonna get taken care of through this whole process. So it's I just will be glad to see the day when we're back to a little bit common sense. You can't have a government mandated healthcare policy that is operated by the private system. It just doesn't work because the private system always by default wants to correct, and the government is not in the business of correcting. They're in the business of setting standards, and so the free enterprise is going to want to always correct. And when the government is in trying to mess with that,
well, I mean, look at the government.
A shortage or an overage.
Hasn't the government already proven to you beyond any shadow of a doubt how prudently they can spend your money?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, beyond a shadow of a doubt, absolutely. So yeah, we'll see how this all plans out. But I'm excited for it to maybe get back to a sense of back to kind of almost what it was before, but some more common sense thrown in there. We'll see what happens. But I like the things that are being planned. I like the fact that they're focusing on HSAs and they're trying to take away the individual mandate. I think that's just about the most horrible part of the Obamacare, but it was the only thing that was going to make it work, and it still didn't work. I like the fact that they're calling for more price transparency. And that's
I like the idea that the federal government is going to get out of the Medicaid business because it's really those are all state programs anyway, and that the federal government is actually taxing us with federal taxes so that they can actually provide about a 50% of the cost of the state mandated Medicaid issues, and it shouldn't be that way. That the states, if they want to have Medicaid, they should have their own program and tax their citizens appropriately. And if you don't like it, move to another state.
Yeah, and that's the way the current system works. Is like you said, it's about a 1-to-1 share. For every dollar they spend, we spend $1 federally. And what this new plan wants to implement is, look, we'll give you a lump sum. We're not going to leave you out in the cold. We'll give you something, but it's going to be a lump sum. And if anything you spend above that is totally on your own. So you can learn how to become efficient, or you can learn how to spend your own state's tax money.
Yeah.
But you're not going to keep siphoning from the federal government. And I think that's a fantastic part of this new policy as
Absolutely.
well.
Let's talk some more about that when we come back from this commercial message. We're talking to Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner. We're talking about everything. We're talking pretty much about common sense. You know what? It's about time that I wish it was a communicable disease, common sense. We'll talk more about this with my good buddy Sean LaFave right after these brief messages. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Hey, Sean, we were talking about a new communicable disease that you and I were going to propagate called common sense. You think we could spread that to Washington, D.C. or Sacramento or Wichita?
I would love to. I can think of a few places I'd like to spread that.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of common, go ahead, and then I'll give you some common sense that boggles my mind. Go ahead.
I wasn't saying anything.
I thought you were starting to say something. So Idaho state of Idaho just passed a bill. It's the Senate Bill 1182, and I'm not quite sure what to think on this one. It's an interesting bill, and basically what it does is it addresses the issue of faith healing. Okay, basically people who they say, you know what, my child is sick, and it addresses faith healing for children, for minors, not for adults. It addresses it with children specifically. That if your approach to health care for your child is primarily faith healing without medical intervention, then the state can step in and say, you're not allowed to do this. Which, of course, I get it. I see where they're coming from. They're going, look, you know what, this child's going to die if you just continue praying, and all you need to do is give them some penicillin or whatever. But on the other side, of course, is the freedom of religion, and where do we draw the line on freedom of religion? And I even said earlier that there are limits to the rights that we have on things like gun laws and freedom of speech and so on. So do we, should we impose limits? Obviously, if your religion includes the sacrifice of virgins and your God, well, that's probably something that we have the right as a country to go, you know what, you can't just grab a virgin and sacrifice her to your God. So that freedom of religion. But what about those who are considered, faith healers that are really genuinely going, look, I'm putting my faith in God for the health and well-being of my child. And so what they're saying in the state of Idaho is they literally just passed this. It used to say that neglect, basically they're saying neglect can now be defined as the parent is primarily using faith healing prayer as a form of healing without the use of medical intervention. And if that can lead to the child's destruction, poor health or death, then the government has a right to move in. But it used to say that neglect or refusal to provide them, to provide the child, whose parent or guardian chooses for such child treatment by prayers through spiritual means alone in lieu of medical treatment shall be deemed for that reason alone to be neglected or lack parental care necessary.
Child abuse.
Basically saying that didn't, they're calling it child abuse. They're saying that it used to specifically say that does not fall under neglect. The law used to specifically state that if the neglect is not defined as this thing. Now they're saying it is defined as that. They went from not only having, it wasn't even that the law didn't address it. The law addressed it and said that you're allowed to use faith healing, and that faith healing was not considered neglect or abuse. But now they're saying that it is. And I don't know. I'm kind of curious. And of course, there's a lot more wording to that, and I have my own concerns about this. But what are your first thoughts?
Well, you know what. Boy, this is hard. I don't believe. I don't. Yeah, it's very difficult. I just don't. If you believe in God and believe in all the things that the majority of organized religions teach you that He is, then you've got to believe that He's all good and that He doesn't want harm to come to any of His creations. If that's the case, and if you believe in God, and if you believe that we're all instruments of God, and that even these tremendous breakthroughs in innovation and discovery that we have are by the hand of God, then I think if you're a religious person saying that I am not going to allow God to intervene in the health of my child, then you're a hypocrite.
You're saying I'm not going to allow God to intervene?
Yeah.
You mean through modern means?
Yeah,
I think that's what these people want. They want God to miraculously intervene.
No. You're talking about faith healing. But if you believe in God and you've got faith in God, then you believe that God will provide, and that's what religions teach you. And if God is going to provide, who's to say that you're right and not wrong with God providing medical science to help your child?
Yeah, I know that's the argument right there. Is maybe God provided this medicine for us. Maybe God, maybe God gave you penicillin. Why not use it?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. The law, now it reads. And I'm going to talk about what I did with my son several years ago. It says for purposes of determining whether a child has been neglected pursuant to paragraph A, the parent or guardian or other custodian who chooses for such a child or supports the child's choice to pursue treatment by prayers through spiritual means alone or in part in lieu of medical treatment is engaged in the free exercise of religion, which is a fundamental right that applies to all decisions in the state, and except as provided in this other section in the Idaho Code. The government shall not substantially burden the parents, so no burden is allowed to be on the parent, guardian, or other custodians' exercise of religion, even if the burden results from a rule of general applicability. It says, but then this is where it says, when a parent, guardian, or other custodian chooses for such a child or supports the child's decisions or choice to pursue this, basically the prayer and spiritual means, or in part in lieu of medical treatment, such child shall not be deemed to be neglected. And here's where it goes: unless the failure to receive medical treatment is likely to result in serious permanent injury or death.
Yeah, well, you know
what they're saying is it's not neglect until all of a sudden you get to the point where the child's going to die.
Yeah, well, most religions teach that God helps those who help themselves. Now, this has to deal with not just physiological things, but mental stress and jobs and all kinds of things. And the truth is, if God is not going to help you until you've done everything you can to help yourself, then he's not going to help you. One of the things you do to help yourself is you go to someone who's got knowledge beyond yours that can help you. And if you don't do that, then God's not going to help you.
And I agree with you on that. And I think there are even natural things like, again, this is the thought that went through my mind was, I wonder if, my son, for instance, when he was, I think he was 11. I remember when we've talked about this before, how he came down with scarlet fever, because I remember you said that you had
rheumatic fever.
You have rheumatic fever. So scarlet fever leads to rheumatic fever, and you had rheumatic fever, but your heart actually healed up from that, and not everybody's does. But, could the state at that point, when I'm saying, look, I'm just giving him herbs, and which is what I did, and it worked, and his scarlet fever went away in 2 days through the intervention that we used. And in my opinion, stuff that is provided, by God. These are plants. This is not something that's made from man, and that's the differentiating circumstance here. Is the drugs, people go, well, they're chemicals. They're not natural. You can't find them in the environment. They're nowhere to be found. Never would have been found had man not actually made them. And so, would that fall under that category of those of us who, and that's the thing that I tell people all the time.
So, Sean, if you live,
I don't feel the body.
So, Sean, if you live in the Mojave Desert and it's 120 out there, and you put your kid out there, are you gonna say that you're not going to use the common sense to bring him in out of the sun, so that he doesn't die from heat stroke?
Well, sure, of course you are, but that would be neglect. If you left your son out there, would be your child.
Isn't it the same thing?
We have entire cultures who live in the middle of deserts, and they've learned to adapt to that, and that's their part. But they don't do it through use of even electricity. They do it through the use of shade covering they actually make their tents to absorb the heat in the daytime. So when they go in at night, it's warm in there, because at nighttime it cools down in the desert. And so there are entire cultures who are
that material that they use for their tent didn't just magically appear. They made it. It's handmade.
It's handmade, but it's handmade from resources that are available to them.
That they altered to turn into material.
Right. Sure. Absolutely.
So it's just like altering plants to create medication.
In that sense, you're right. It's exactly the same. Well, they don't alter plants though to make medication. They alter chemicals to make medication, and
but a lot of those chemicals come from plants. Just the very same things that you're saying are holistic.
The chemical doesn't come from a plant like
marijuana.
Aspirin,
how about the chemicals in marijuana that are supposed to be so good for nausea? And we've talked about that. That's not all coming from the plant.
Well, yeah, it's people who smoke marijuana, absolutely, that's totally natural. But I'm talking about, even a lot of the antibiotics that we use, they are, maybe penicillin was grown in a moldy petri dish, but the newer generations of all these different derivatives.
Well, how about heroin? Heroin came from poppies, didn't it? Opium.
Heroin came from
Opium.
From opium, yeah, came from the poppy seed. Opium came from the poppy seed. Yeah, and again, just because it's natural doesn't mean that I'm saying you should utilize it.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah. I know you are. I know you are. But I think the argument that people have is, look, this is a synthetic form of treatment, as opposed to, is it something? It's something that hasn't, if it's been around for thousands of years. Look at Chinese medicine; it's virtually unchanged over thousands of years. There's all these different.
Stick him with a needle. Put it all over him.
The needles.
Yeah, stick him with needles.
Yeah, exactly. Stick them with needles. And I've used that before. And I tell you what, it's pretty crazy. It still blows my mind how it works. And I've scientifically been able to prove that it works.
Yeah.
But basically what we're boiling it down to, though, is, where do we infringe on a person's rights, their freedom of religion, their First Amendment protection? And that's the thing that I teach when I'm talking to a person. I tell them, I go, look, whether you believe in creation or you believe in evolution, the fundamental principle, and of course in this case you would need to believe in creation, or
but let's take it a step farther. Let's take it to the step that you're an adult and you believe in a creator, and you believe in not using any kind of medication or artificial means of healthcare or anything like that. Do you have the right to force that upon a child who has not yet reached the age of reason, that can't make up their own mind and doesn't have the availability of medical science or knowledge to help them make this decision?
Sure. I would think that a person who does that, and I'm not saying they have the right or not, and that's where the debate comes in, is why now in Idaho the judge can actually step in and go, no, this is not acceptable.
Yeah, and I think that's right. You remember the old Cosby Show, right? And they had this one scene where he's up with his son up in the bedroom, and they're having this argument, and Bill Cosby says to his son, "Hey, look, I brought you into this world. I can take you out."
Take you out. Yeah, exactly. But I would like to think that. A person who is saying, like I did, there's probably a lot of people who would be horrified at the thought. In fact, his own mom, she was in the natural health care. We have an office, a clinic together, and she still wanted to take him to the medical doctor, and I had to convince her to not take him to the doctor to give him antibiotics.
But Sean, you actually had a modality that you wanted to use. It worked in 2 days. But if after 2 weeks he was unconscious and his heartbeat was weak and his breathing was labored, would you have not taken him to the hospital?
Of course I would.
See what I'm saying?
I would never let it. Yeah, I would never let it go to the point where I go, okay, this is dangerous now.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who would say once he had the scarlet fever symptoms, now it's become dangerous for you to not take him. I guarantee you, I could fill a stadium with people who would say that, I probably got lucky, is what they would say. I'm sure there are people out there who go, well, you just got really lucky.
Well, lucky or not, we're back to that same old tenet that we said, common sense. You've got common sense. You've got knowledge. You tried something you believed in, and it worked, and so you were right, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you have enough common sense to say, if it wasn't working and I was going to lose my son, by God, he'd be in the emergency room.
Yeah, and I think that's the key words there is what you said, is something that I believed in. And it's funny, I've got a friend out in California. His name is Moses.
I thought I was your only friend in California.
You're my best friend in California, not my only one. But this guy, he's a young guy. He's in his I think he's 24 or something like that, and he's a great guitar player, super amazing on the guitar. He actually joined the Marines as a guitar player, and the immense amount of practice that it took for him to get there, and on, he ended up developing carpal tunnel, and he couldn't. He says, I had a hard time using my fingers for anything, let alone to play guitar. And he said, I walked into a church one day, and it was a church I'd never been into. I didn't know a single person there. And I'm sitting there listening to this guy's message, and he goes, this guy was halfway through his message, and he stopped, and he said, you know what? He goes, the Holy Spirit has spoken to me. And he said, I feel like there's somebody here who's dealing with carpal tunnel, severe carpal tunnel, and is dealing with daily pain and struggles with that. And he said, I'm looking around the room. He goes, nobody's standing up. And he goes, I think this is too weird. But he goes, I stood up. And this is my guy who's like one of these holy roller charismatic.
You got 20 seconds, Sean.
He's a pretty normal guy. End of story. He walks up, the guy lays hands on him. He goes, my hands have not hurt sense that day. Now, it's I don't know how to explain that. I can't explain it, but that's a faith healing that happened that this guy claims without a doubt changed his life. And so for people to have that kind of faith, some people say, I believe in it, that if you just let God do his part, he will fix them. And so I don't think we're ever going to end that debate on whether it's right or not, but in Idaho, the judges can move in and take over at that point.
Well, I do believe in circumstances that are that can't be answered by medical science and astute people. They call those miracles, and we can talk about that on Thursday. How's that sound?
That sounds fantastic. I love miracles. We'll talk about miracles.
All right. You have a great week. Stay safe. Stay happy. Keep everybody around you happy. And thanks for a great show, Sean.
You bet. It was a lot of fun, Robert. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. And the rest of you folks, stick around, because when we come back, we're going to be talking about the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, and interesting but useless facts. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:43 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 63 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 52 degrees. And we were expecting some rain. It's starting to sprinkle just a little bit outside, but it's going to come down a lot heavier for the next couple of days. And you know what? If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in London, England, hey, it's 43 degrees and it's clear. And if you're in Vienna, Austria, Austria, Austria listening to our show. It's 50 degrees and mostly cloudy. But right now, I want to talk to you about having a positive mental attitude. Yep, it's the lifetime daily teaching for your life. And you know what? It's all about you, your mind, a positive mental attitude. You can make anything happen. Now, I'm not going to repeat myself with the same spiel I give you every day. Just know that if you believe it and you live it and you breathe it and you walk it and you talk it, it's going to actually happen. Well, you know what? Our teaching for today is your mind can be like a runaway steam train if you let it. It can take you off to thoughts of the past and then take you off to thoughts of the future by taking you past bad events and projecting those into your future. Those out of control thoughts are creating too. When you're aware, you're in the present and you know what you're thinking. You have gained control of your thoughts, and that is where all your power is. That, my friends, is a fact. You're in total control of your entire life, and to some extent, the lives of the people around you. Now, you know what today is. Sure you do. I do. You do. Everybody does. Today is Tuesday. It's March the 21st, and it is absolutely somebody's birthday. Yes, sir. And you know what? Here's a fellow who was born in 1946. He's an actor known for portraying 007. Now, you think I'm going to say Sean Connery, but I'm not. Happy birthday, Timothy Dalton. Yeah. And how about this fella who was born in 1962, an actor who cannot be forgotten as the charming, clever slacker in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Happy birthday, Matthew Broderick. And it's all, by the way, it's also Rosie O'Donnell's birthday. I don't know what Donald Trump might have to say about that, but happy birthday, Rosie. And here's somebody born in 1978. He was a K-Fed, the ex-Mr. Spears and custodial parent of their children. Happy birthday, Kevin Federline. Yeah. Well, were you ever wondering what was going on today in history? Well, don't wonder any longer, because I'm about to tell you. Sit down in your favorite chair, grab a cup of coffee or whatever, and listen to this. On March the 21st, 1844, the original date predicted by William Miller for the return of Christ. Did you know that? Yeah, it happens on a regular basis now. And on this date in 1985, Canadian paraplegic athlete and humanitarian Rick Hansen begins his circumnavigation of the globe in a wheelchair in the name of spinal cord injury medical research. Good for you, Rick. Good for you. And on this date, in 1989, Sports Illustrated reports allegations tying baseball player Pete Rose to baseball gambling. Cost him his career. And how about this one? Here, it's our quote for today. It comes from Benjamin Disraeli. And Ben says, never apologize for showing feeling. When you do so, you apologize for the truth. Boy, think about that. That is prolific. Well, it's time for our interesting but useless facts. Let me give you a couple of them here. We've got a couple minutes left. Did you know that dolphins use a blowhole on top of their heads to breathe, not their mouths? I think you knew that. Just like a whale, actually. How about this? You know what? Klaxon is a name that does not belong to one of Santa's reindeer. A klaxon is actually a powerful electric horn. Its name comes from a German word meaning shriek. Yep, that's what it was. I don't know if you were interested in it, but it was kind of interesting. Did you know that the kangaroo rat can last longer without water than a camel? Now, isn't that interesting? Kind of. You wouldn't think so, right? Yeah. By the way, it's an endangered species. If they find them on your property, you're sunk. You can't build, you can't develop, you can't do anything. Yeah, I had a client one time got stuck with that. Try this on. Did you know that people say, bless you, when you sneeze because your heart stops for a millisecond every time you sneeze? Whoa, that's got to scare you, huh? Did you know that on New Year's Day, 1907, Theodore Roosevelt shook hands with 8,513 people? Man, he must have had a sore hand after that. Try this on for size. The first series of commemorative stamps issued by the United States Postal Service depicted Columbus's discovery of America. They were issued in 1893 and available in 16 denominations, ranging from 1 cent to $5. Yeah. Can you imagine? Well, let me leave you with this one. The earth is not round, but slightly pear-shaped. That, my friends, is an absolute, actual fact. Now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Today's story? Surprise attack. It's not what you think. So keep that in mind.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
You know what? But the American Broadcasting Company calls him the biggest voice in America. He's Paul Harvey, and each week, millions of listeners, viewers, and readers await his unraveling of the mysteries of events in the lives of people past and present. Heard on over 1,400 radio stations, seen on 110 television stations, and read in 300 newspapers. The rest of the story has for years been exploring the byways of history with revelations that are intriguing, amusing, and surprising. Well, our story for today is surprise attack. You know what? Beginning in 1931 and for the next decade, the same question appeared on every final exam for each graduating class at Japan's Naval Academy. Now, what would that be? For 10 years, every graduating naval cadet in Japan was asked the same question. How would you carry out a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor? When that question first appeared on the exam, there was no correct answer. Then in February of 1932, 9 years and 10 months prior to the real attack on Pearl Harbor, the Japanese discovered what they believed was a foolproof plan. That strategy was in fact the one that they actually eventually employed. Yet, for 9 years more, the question, how would you carry out a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, appeared on the Japanese Naval Academy final. With literally hundreds of various suggestions gleaned from the fertile minds of Japanese youth, not one could rival the strategy of 1932. How they really surprised us at Pearl Harbor is the rest of the story. In the fall of 1941, a Japanese ship arrived at Honolulu. 4 members of the crew who were posing as stewards were really officers of the Japanese Imperial Navy. 2 submarine experts, 2 surface ship and air operations experts. Had we been more suspicious at the time, we might have wondered why that particular ship had taken the route that it did to the islands. A far north approach, passing near the icy Aleutians. Today, we know that the 4 Japanese naval experts were testing a plan that the Japanese had been counting on for almost 10 years. Much to their gratification, the Japanese naval officers sighted neither ships nor aircraft on this desolate swath of sea. A month later, a fleet of Japanese ships would take this same route to Hawaii, only then it would be for real. The Japanese officers, disguised as stewards, took plenty of shore leave, saw the sights, took snapshots, spoke with the island natives. They even took tourist plane rides over Pearl Harbor and more snapshots. They were testing a plan, and so far, the plan was on target. The consulate gave these Japanese stewards maps of Pearl Harbor and the military airfields, just to make certain that they purchased souvenir sets of picture postcards containing aerial shots of Pearl Harbor, views of Battleship Row, and the mooring area by Ford Island. Returning to Japan, the naval officer spies were confident the plan that they had for the decade was the right one. Indeed, it was the plan that they'd used on December the 7th, 1941, and we were surprised. The 110 minutes, 8 big battleships, 3 night cruisers, and had been sunk or damaged. 188 planes had been destroyed, 2,400 men had been killed. The blowout only paralyzed us in the Pacific for the greater part of the year. It also exposed our inexhaustible optimism and our unbelievable unreadiness for battle. Behind our anger was one burning question. How did they do it? Before 1950, 6 investigations were launched in search of an answer. The Japanese plan of attack was more than theory. It had been proved effective. For in 1932, U.S. Admiral Harry Yarnell decided to demonstrate the vulnerability of Pearl Harbor by slipping 2 aircraft carriers in close from the northeast. He launched 152 aircraft, which theoretically could have obliterated all airplanes on the ground and sunk most of the ships at the anchor. Japanese naval attachés in Honolulu read about the exercise, were so impressed that they filed voluminous dispatches to Tokyo. Their report ultimately manifested itself as the Japanese master plan. That's right. Almost a decade before the attack on Pearl Harbor, we showed the Japanese how. And now you know the rest of the story. Didn't that send chills up and down your spine. Well, tomorrow's story is Shorty. You don't want to miss it. It's another great story. And then on my show tomorrow, I'm going to continue my segment, Money Secrets of Multimillionaire Investors. And then also our own Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless, will be here talking about wireless technology news. And I'll continue my tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey, as I told you before, with the rest of the story. Now, please tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. They'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. And I promise you, I'll be glad you did.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.